got to show y'all something. Check this out. Concerning people, I said to myself, God is testing them so that they will see that by themselves they are just animals. Now, I've done extensive teaching on testing and trials, but I had never noticed that in the book of Ecclesiastes. And I think there's some deep wisdom there that we got to pay attention to. If you think about it, all testing that we encounter in this life has to do with our mortality, our physical needs, our desires, or the lack of achieving or receiving them. Because we live in a physical world, every test is physical. And the constraints of this world are this body. That's what we're constrained to. And so when we're tested in the physical, what's happening is it's revealing to us that separate from God, we are truly no different than the animals. We just react to our environment. But what's interesting is in Romans 5, it says the testing of our faith develops perseverance. And perseverance, character, and character, hope, and that hope does not disappoint. Now, that word character doesn't mean character in the way that we use it in English, right? That word character is actually a word meaning that something has been tested and has been revealed to be genuine, essentially. And so what that verse is really saying is that perseverance is revealing to the person who has the character. So that would be us, right? So when we are tested, it reveals to us the quality of something that is in us. Now, I did a more extensive teaching on this, and I'll see if I can find it and I'll link it in the comments. But basically, what the testing reveals is not the quality of the faith. What it reveals is that we have the Holy Spirit. And that is the thing that separates us from the animals. And so if you pair these two verses together, what you end up with is that God tests people to show them that separate from Him, we are no different than the animals. We will just react to our circumstances. But when we have the Holy Spirit and that testing comes, it reveals something different, because the reaction in us becomes love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, self-control, all things that would be inappropriate or disproportionate to a test. If you are just an animal, you can't respond with love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, and self-control. You would have to respond with frustration, wrath, anger, reaction. Now, you might ask, well, what happens if I know I have the Holy Spirit because in some seasons I've been tested and I've reacted with love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, and self-control, and in other seasons I've reacted with frustration or anger or all these other things? Well, what this is showing us is the areas in our life that have not yet been fully brought under the control of the Holy Spirit. Or another way you could put this is these are the areas in life that we have not yet fully trusted God in. And so He's revealing to us that there are certain areas in our life that we still need to bring into the reality of Christ. Because in those areas, we are still operating like the animals. We are still operating in just our natural reaction to the situation. Anyway, I love this pairing of verses because it brings everything into such focus, especially when you read the entire book of Ecclesiastes and you place this in context, because the whole book of Ecclesiastes lays out everything that is available to be done. I mean, Solomon was the wisest, the wealthiest. This is a guy who had the opportunity to experience everything that a human being could desire to do in this earth at the maximum extreme, to a level that probably no one will ever replicate. Which means that anything that you think will make you happy, anything, more sex, more wealth, more fame, more accomplishment, it literally does not matter. There is nothing you will be able to do in your life that will match the volume of experiences that Solomon had. And he came to the end of it and said, it is literally all worthless. It comes to nothing. That the eye never has enough of seeing, the ear never has enough of hearing. You cannot satiate this flesh. It's not possible. And so God's testing is out of love to reveal to us that we need something more, because we cannot find satisfaction in this flesh. It is impossible. You will never reach the end of it. And then when we find Him, He gives us the Holy Spirit. and he begins to test our lives so that we will take every area of our life and bring it into alignment with him, bring it under the headship of Christ, so that instead of experiencing frustration, instead of experiencing despair, which is exactly what Solomon experienced, it says that he went through and experienced everything, and at the end of it, all he found was frustration and despair. But in the Spirit, as these areas of our life are tested, and we discover that there are still areas where we are reacting like the animals, as those areas are brought into submission to Christ, we begin to discover that in everything we can have love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, and self-control. I'll leave you with this. In Romans 8, it says that the whole of creation was subjected to futility. And when you subject a person to futility, in their flesh, the only thing to do is to cope. But in the Spirit, we have the ability to conquer. Not the world, because that comes to nothing, but ourselves. Because as we allow the Spirit to conquer every part of ourself, we find peace.